All right. Thank you for joining us on the Boating Insider podcast. We're joined here today by Bob Callahan, who's the Group VP for the International WorkBoat Conference, and Lauren St. Clair, Marketing Director for the show as well. So, guys, thank you very much for joining. I really appreciate it. Before we dive into what the show is, some of the history, everything like that, could you guys please introduce yourselves? And Bob, I'll have you start if you don't mind.
Sure. Thanks, Chris. It's great to be on. I'm Bob Callahan. I'm Group Vice President. Our company is Diversified Communications, and we oversee the WorkBoat event and a variety of other events throughout the country. Our company is also international. We have offices in the UK, Australia, Canada. We're down in Massachusetts as well, and we're based here in Portland, Maine. Great to be here.
Hey, Chris. My name is Lauren St. Clair. I'm the Marketing Director for the International WorkBoat Show. So I oversee marketing for our commercial marine portfolio, which includes this show that we're talking about today, and also a show on the West Coast called Pacific Marine Expo that has workboat elements and also commercial fishing interests, and also Workboat Magazine and National Fisherman Magazine.
Awesome.
So thanks for having me on.
Well, thank you guys for being here. I appreciate it. So, all right. So I'm going to turn this over to you, and I'm curious. So if you could give everybody an overview of what is International WorkBoat Show, then I want to dive into a little bit of the history, who's going to be there, what people expect. So whoever wants to take it, start with the overview and we'll work our way through it.
Sure. Chris, so the International WorkBoat Show is the largest commercial marine event in the United States. It has over 900 exhibiting companies displaying in 190,000 square feet. So it's a good chunk of the entire commercial marine market comes to the event over 3 days. And they're there to display products, network, catch up with old colleagues, and there's a variety of meetings that take place, dealer meetings that take place at the show. It's just a one-stop shop for everything in the commercial vessel market. And they're all in New Orleans the last week in November, first week in December.
Okay. Nice. And how many companies did you say exhibit at the show?
Well, it's a little over 900 and counting. So we're about 4 or 5 weeks out. So we're still in our heavy selling season right now. So it's just the results this year have been phenomenal. Could not be happier with where we're at this point, especially coming out of COVID. During COVID, we said when I told people we were in the business of mass gatherings, with trade shows, they were like, what are you going to do for the rest of your life? And we're back fully with a fully engaged audience. I think people appreciate being out more, seeing their colleagues. During the COVID era, it was a lot of Zoom meetings and Teams meetings. And everyone said, oh, that's going to take the place of trade shows. But it's just proven that there's nothing more valuable than doing business face to face. So where you can actually, get a real feel for the customer and for the product.
Well, it opens up so many different aspects of the conversation, right? Because when I'm in sales, it's when you are just that faceless person that's calling for the 30th time this year, you can get brushed off, you can get written off, all these things. And I think people kind of, make an image of who you are in their head when they don't actually know you or haven't met you. And that's one of the things I always loved about the trade shows was that it does give you the chance to actually get in front of people who otherwise may have passed you by. They might finally see what's on your booth. Somebody stops by, it catches their eye. Somebody who you can now help, but wouldn't have even thought themselves can help. Like it happens at trade shows all the time. Where somebody's walking by to seemingly unrelated business or industry. And then they're like, hey, what do you guys do? And you explain it. Actually, I have about, $40,000 or $100,000 worth of opportunity that we should probably talk about. And that wouldn't have happened through other communication channels. Like it just wouldn't have meshed up that way. So I've always enjoyed going to these trade shows because just the serendipitous opportunities it creates are huge. and everybody's excited after COVID and being on Zoom calls all the time to finally talk to somebody in person. It's always nice.
Right.
So can you give me a bit of a history about the show? How long has the show been running for? We'll start there.
So we've been running. Well, this event has taken place. This is the 43rd edition. It was basically started back in the Superdome in New Orleans, and we kind of outgrew the football field and moved it to the Montreal Convention Center. So in the past, it's always mirrored the oil and gas industry. So, in the 80s and 90s, when you saw the price of oil drop tremendously, that affected the show, and in a really negative way. And now it's a cross section of so many different market segments. The military attends our event, passenger vessel owner operators attend our event, tugs and barge owner operators attend our event, safety products, things like that. So it's a wide array of products that you'll see. So, maybe OSVs or the offshore service vessels that service the oil platforms in the Gulf. That's taken a hit the last couple of years, but passenger vessels are up. So our customers are doing business with those operators. So it's just a conglomerate. And then, of course, after 9/11, the military spend on port security and we have a strong military presence. We have these really cool, I would say, like Navy SEAL type boats that are on display, things like that I've never seen before. And it's just amazing to see what they can do. They have the boat on display with video capability, and it's incredible. So it really, we've done the right things in terms of making the event more recession proof, because if one segment is down, another is up, and, we reap the benefits there. And I'll give you, like in 2008 and 9, and the financial crisis, the recreational boating industry kind of went down pretty significantly, but the commercial marine market was up. So a lot of our exhibitors that you'll see maybe at the Fort Lauderdale Boat Show, they shifted their marketing dollars to the commercial marine market. So we benefit there as well.
Nice. Okay. And so by and large, when people are commenting, it sounds like there's, and I've seen this too, but there's quite a few different industries coming, and operators all come for different reasons. So what are some of the main things that people can expect from attending the show, either walking or exhibiting the show? Yeah.
I can take that one, I guess.
Sure.
Yeah. So I guess there's going to be over probably 13,000 people at the show this year, with 13,000 different reasons for attending. We do a pretty intensive post-show survey every year after the event, and we consistently get back purchasing is the number one reason that people come. I think that's something that really differentiates this show, is that people are physically coming to WorkBoat to purchase for their vessels, which is why everybody wants to exhibit, to talk to them. Networking is probably the thing that comes in second. We have a lot of different special events and networking opportunities, so people can kind of talk with their peers on and off the show floor. And then obviously, like, we always come back to New Orleans as a great piece,
Sure.
of the DNA of this event. So it's kind of like the perfect storm, in that everybody loves to come to New Orleans. Everybody likes to see their friends, and they've got some money in their pocket to spend. And I think that's a lot of the reason the show is as successful as it is year after year. And the attendance this year is trending up incredibly. So we couldn't be happier. And then I'm glad you guys used the C word 4 times before I even said it once. So I feel like now
yeah,
we're going to be fine.
Yeah.
But it's so interesting. Day one, the energy is tremendous. Like, there's people just flooding into the hall and registration, and they come in, and then, at the end of the day, everybody's out in the evening, enjoying the city of New Orleans, the many restaurants and bars and things like that. And then day 2 is, you get a whole new group of people that are coming in, plus the returnees from day 1. So that's our busiest day. And the energy on that day is just incredible. And then in the evening, the exhibitors have parties up and down Bourbon Street. They rent out these bars, and, so people are up all night. And then you get to day 3, and it's like a different, right, Lauren, we open at 9, and
Yep.
a lot of our exhibitors are just getting in, like 9:30. It's like, and you can just see in their eyes that,
they had a good night.
Bourbon Street won, they lost. So type of thing. So it's really a great 3 days in terms of, but it's everyone just enjoys, everyone knows what to expect. And it's just, what we try to do on our third day is we have a military acquisition day. So we have the Navy, the Army, the Coast Guard, they're all presenting on how to do business with the military. So our exhibitors, while it's a little bit quieter on the attendee side, the exhibitors all go to these sessions to learn how to do business with the government. So it's really, really positive.
Okay. What other kind of sessions do you guys have? Because I think that's a key part of going to these trade shows, and also making it like worth it for companies to send their employees to and things like that. Walking the show can be hugely beneficial, but sometimes the continued education pieces of these are really where, a lot of things actually get done and business decisions get made because they're learning about these things. So what other kind of, seminars and things like that, are you guys running this year that you think people should check out?
Yeah, I mean, we have such an amazing program this year, and it runs across all 3 days, like Bob said, the final day being Military and Maritime Acquisition Day. And for the first time this year, we actually have the Army presenting on some of the vessels that they're looking to build in the future. We have a really interesting panel about shipyard realities. So we have some like really big heavy hitters from the shipbuilding industry who are going to talk about, what the headwinds are and what the opportunities are in shipyards. It's a conversation that I haven't personally heard happening anywhere else. And the quality of the speakers that our team has been able to get to commit to being on that panel are just incredible. We haven't quite announced it yet, but look for that. That'll be in an email hopefully this week. There's a lot of conversations happening around green technologies and sustainability within the commercial marine industry. So we have some sessions focused on that, as well as electrification of different sorts of vessels. And then we obviously have our big offshore wind breakfast that takes place at the show. That's really, really well attended. And every year it's very different focus for it this year. Like initially this year, we're going to be talking a little bit more about the Gulf, but based on kind of what the landscape is looking like now, it's more pivoting to be about what is that opportunity for the commercial marine market. Because I think that's kind of one of the issues is that still hasn't been completely defined, and like how we're going to get to the 2030 and how many boats and what the investment needs to be in vessels and shipbuilding in order to get there. So that'll be a really good session that people should take a lot away from.
Okay. Nice. And then, so one of the other pieces that you mentioned, you were talking before this, was some of the international recruitment, things like that. Can you just touch on that briefly?
Yeah, for sure. So this year, obviously after the pandemic, we saw a little bit of a drop in international attendance. So we decided to proactively work with the U.S. Commerce Service to do some very dedicated, targeted recruitment in different parts of the world that we thought would be appropriate to attend the WorkBoat Show. So I am on calls with them every week, and it's been going really well. It seems like the world has opened up again, and we have some incredible people that are coming. We actually have almost hit our quota for the amount of people that we can bring into this. So we have people coming from Mauritania, and the big group from the UK, and a big Canadian shipbuilding group, and Brazil and Colombia. And it's just too many to mention, but they're all really excited to be there. They're really excited to go to New Orleans. And I've also been assured that they're also coming to purchase. So it's a lot of military, a lot of energy companies, a lot of ports who are hopefully going to put this on their calendar moving forward every year. So we're excited about that. And we're taking them on the day before the show on a tour of the port of New Orleans, and we're going to go out on a fireboat. So it's really coming together really nicely. And it feels like a good indicator that the show is really getting back to what it was.
Okay.
After a few tough years.
So I'm glad to hear it. So I guess just so from your personal experience, Bob, I'll let you kick this one off. Is there anything, what is the main thing that you enjoy about the show that, let's say, exhibitors should know about? Whether it's something that is just an enjoyable experience, or, hey, this is where we've seen exhibitors have the most success, whether it's from driving awareness or driving leads from, the show. Is there anything that exhibitors should know going into the show?
Exhibitors, well, I would just say, as Lauren mentioned earlier, the networking. So a lot of our exhibitors have these real lavish booths on the show floor. They'll have their marine engine will be on display, but they'll also have like a conference room, and upstairs may be a networking lounge or a mini bar upstairs. So, I like to go on the catwalk above the convention center and just look down and see all the business that's being done. And, it's like, partying on the ground floor, but like on the second level of a booth, that's when the business is being done, and you see the notepads out and the note taking, and then we'll hear of a contract being signed at the event. So we always applaud that and want to report on that as well. So it's all the way through. The other thing that's gratifying is we get a lot of new exhibitors that come in. Some are the right fit for the event, and some are the right fit. So to see a small company grow along with us and start out with a small 10 by 10, and then the next year 10 by 20 or 20 by 30, and they've made it. So that's kind of what we all talk about. That's our mission is to drive business for these companies and provide leads. And a startup company, they don't really know what they're doing. So we try to educate them before they come to the show and how to market themselves and what to do to get their brand name out there. And to see once they follow what we're teaching them and they're successful, and to see them grow with the event is really, really satisfying to me.
And I guess, Lauren, from your perspective, what are some of those things that companies can do to get that better turnout, to have better conversations, and ultimately drive revenue? I think that's what we're all there for. But what are some of the ways that you advise the exhibit?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, full disclosure, I'm the marketing person, so I'm very jaded when it comes to this topic. But I think sometimes we will get an objection. The show is so big. It's so big. Like, how do we get out there, right? It's a great problem to have that the show is so successful and we have 1,000 exhibitors, or will potentially. And how do you differentiate yourself from everybody else? So we've worked really hard to come up with some really interesting marketing packages that companies can take advantage of before the show to kind of get their name out there before getting on site. We have a mobile app where you can make appointments and set meetings with people. I think it's all about doing your homework and really understanding the flow of the show floor so you can make the most of all your time there, because it is big.
Sure.
If you forget your keys on one side of the convention center, it's going to take you 20 minutes to walk back and get them. So you just want to make sure that you're kind of prepared for those kinds of situations, and that you've done your due diligence and kind of are just ready to hit the ground running when you get there, because it's massive, but it's incredible, and you'll never have another opportunity to meet as many people that could be beneficial to your business as you will at this event.
Yeah. I'm excited to go. This will be my first International WorkBoat Show, and I believe it's the first time the Vessel Vanguard's going to be exhibiting there. And we did the jump to a bigger booth before we even did the 10 by 10. So we started with the 10 by 10. We just reserved the 20 by 20, just because over the past, I'd say 2 months after just talking to customers, prospects, things like that, the amount of people that are going to be there, even surprised us to the point where we're like, oh, okay, we got to show up as Vessel Vanguard and show people who we are. And so I'm really excited to go to this one. Reminds me of, I used to be in aviation before Vessel Vanguard. I used to sell software. It's called Flight Docs. And we did maintenance track, things like that in aviation. So we learned a lot of the compliance things from there, the software, everything. But it reminds me of the NBAA, the National Business Aviation Association Conference, Vegas and Orlando. Just a large show like this. The heavy hitters in the industry are there. And every time that you go, you leave with a nice stack of business cards and a lot of solid leads. So I'm definitely excited for that part. The sales manager, that's how it goes for me. But I'm very.
You guys are going to have a great show.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question though. Are you throwing a party?
We won't be throwing a party. No, we
maybe next year.
Maybe next year. We're we're trying to be the quiet, cool kids. We'll go to the parties this year, and then maybe we'll eventually start throwing some parties. We'll see.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. I just got an email about one while we were in this meeting. So
yeah, I'm excited for those. I
good.
love New Orleans back in almost 10 years. So this will be fun. I'm looking forward to it. And I've got a baby that's due at the end of December. So this will be kind of my last hoorah before I'm in full new dad mode. So yeah, definitely.
Oh
excited.
man, you got to make the most of it.
In the most. I guess so. One of the other things that I wanted to touch on before we wrap up here are, do you have any details on some of those special events that are happening, like the offshore wind breakfast, the maritime throwdown, or is that something that we could provide the listeners with a link in the show notes? Do you guys have links to those dates and times?
Sure. Yeah. So if you go to workboatshow.com, everything is laid out really clearly by day for what our special events are. But I can just very quickly on the first day of the show in the afternoon, we have a great event that's actually, getting bigger and bigger by the year called the Workboat Significant Boat Awards. So basically our editors pick 10 vessels that are significant. And we let our readers choose who the boat of the year is going to be. So that'll be unveiled at the International WorkBoat Show alongside this really fun happy hour that'll be happening. We have a lot of really exciting things happening in this underwater intervention pavilion that is being built this year. So they have their entire own conference program that runs across the entirety of the show. And then there's also a happy hour that's going to be there on the first day of the show that a lot of people have already signed up to attend. Again, the Maritime Throwdown is an industrial line handling competition that usually has its finals at Inland Marine Expo in Nashville. So they're doing their wild card qualifier. The title has changed a few times at Workboat. So whoever wins at Workboat will get an all expenses paid trip to IMX to compete in the finals in May. So that's exciting. And then we also, like I said, we have the conference program that's completely free to attend for all attendees and exhibitors happening across all 3 days of the show. And then the offshore wind breakfast will be on day 2 in the morning. So, and that's something that people can sign up to attend and should be really interesting. So we're excited. It's like a jam-packed program this year, and we're always thinking about how we can add more. So I feel like this is going to be a good year to be there.
Beautiful. Well, I guess before we wrap up, is there anything else that you want to touch on?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I can just say it's just so gratifying to see the momentum that this show has right now at the beginning of this year because, as a marketer, we know everybody has email fatigue and digital media fatigue. And, after years and years of trying to get away from, print ads and doing things in a more traditional sense, we started to realize that we had to get in front of these people in a very different way. So we put up a bunch of billboards, physical billboards going out to Port Fourchon and down to Morgan City in Louisiana. So I was just thinking to myself the other day that everything that's old is new again, that I never thought I'd be building billboards to get people there. But maybe that's what's causing the big uptick in attendance. But it'll be interesting to see what happens when we do our analytics after the show. But it feels like there's real lightning in a bottle this year. And we're so excited to get down there.
That's great news. Bob, anything for your side?
I would just advise wear your walking shoes. The show is very large this year, and we have an app on site that you'll be able to download that will help you navigate to all the booths that are on the show floor. So there's that as well, and then Workboat Magazine, of course. It's a free qualified circulation that you can pick up a copy there as well, and that'll keep you in touch with the industry throughout the year.
Awesome. Well, guys, thank you very much. I really appreciate you joining, and we'll include the links to everything that you mentioned below in the show notes. So, are attending the show, please check that out. And then, can people connect with you guys by email or LinkedIn? What's the best way to reach out to you?
Sure. I mean, definitely email. My email is just lstclair@divcom.com. And we're also going to create a free promo code for all of the people who watch this podcast, and it'll just be Boating Insider. So they can utilize that code and register for free on the website. So there's literally no barrier to entry.
Nice.
To get into the show this year.
Okay. Cool.
And Chris, B. Callahan at divcom.com. And I'm on LinkedIn as well. I encourage anyone to reach out to us with any suggestions, or let us know what you think after you attend the event. We'd love to hear from you.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you joining. Thank you, everybody, for listening.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it.